In December 2022, Andrew Tate's carefully constructed empire began to unravel. Romanian authorities arrested Tate and his brother, Tristan, in a dramatic raid on their Bucharest villa, detaining them on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. The image of the self-proclaimed Top G being led away in handcuffs marked a stark contrast to the lavish persona he had projected online. The charges alleged that Tate and his associates had lured women into working for a webcam business under false pretenses, promising love and stability, then coercing them into producing explicit content for profit. The irony was bitter. The same man who built his fame preaching power and control was now accused of exploiting others for both. As the investigation unfolded, Romanian prosecutors deepened their case. In June 2023, they revised the charges to human trafficking in continued form, expanding the list of alleged victims and detailing a systematic operation that stretched across multiple countries. The accusations painted a chilling picture of manipulation and psychological control, of women being recruited through Tate's network of online businesses and drawn into what prosecutors described as a coercive, profit-driven enterprise. By May 2025, the fallout had spread beyond Romania. The United Kingdom's Crown Prosecution Service authorized 21 criminal charges against Andrew and Tristan Tate, including rape, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for financial gain. These new charges underscored the transnational scale of the alleged crimes, with investigations spanning the UK, Romania, and the United States. The charges suggested that Tate's online ventures, once marketed as educational opportunities for men, may have doubled as recruitment pipelines for exploitation and money laundering. Throughout it all, Tate and his brother have maintained their innocence, claiming they are victims of political persecution and a coordinated attempt to silence their influence. Their loyal supporters echoed that narrative, framing the prosecutions as proof of systemic corruption and censorship. Yet the gravity of the allegations, coupled with mounting evidence, forced a reckoning in the public eye. The persona that once symbolized dominance and freedom was now synonymous with coercion and deceit. This marked the true fall from grace. What began as a brand built on defiance had become entangled in the machinery of international law enforcement. The empire of self-help, masculinity, and money was no longer an aspirational ideal, but a cautionary tale, proof that when influence is built on control, it can just as easily become the source of one's undoing. The Andrew Tate saga has become more than just the downfall of a controversial influencer. It has evolved into a revealing case study on the intersection of online power, gender, and modern media culture. At its core, Tate's rise and collapse highlight the enduring appeal and danger of toxic masculinity in the digital age. His ideology of dominance and control found fertile ground among young men grappling with uncertainty about identity and purpose. Through his charisma and confidence, he positioned himself as a mentor for the disillusioned, offering a seductive promise of clarity and strength in a world that often feels morally and socially fragmented. For many, Tate's message wasn't just entertainment, it was instruction. But his influence also exposed a glaring failure of digital accountability. Even after being banned from major platforms, his content continued to circulate freely through reposts, fan compilations, and algorithmic loopholes. Platforms that profited from his engagement found themselves under scrutiny for how easily his rhetoric could bypass moderation systems designed to curb hate speech. The Tate phenomenon raised difficult questions about responsibility in the age of virality. When does a platform stop being neutral and start becoming complicit in the spread of harmful ideology? Beyond the digital sphere, the case underscored the challenges of regulating transnational figures who operate across borders and business fronts. Tate's empire, built on online monetization, affiliate marketing, and virtual recruitment, exploited the gray areas of international law. The fusion of influencer culture with financial mentorship programs blurred the lines between self-improvement, manipulation, and exploitation, revealing how modern entrepreneurship can sometimes conceal darker motives. Perhaps most concerning was the impact on youth. Teachers and psychologists observed a surge in misogynistic attitudes among boys, many of whom idolized Tate's image of strength and control. In classrooms across the world, his slogans and worldview became talking points, shaping how a generation of young men perceived women, relationships, and success. The simplicity of his narrative, be ruthless, be rich, be powerful, offered instant gratification but stripped away empathy and nuance. At the heart of the case, beyond the wealth and bravado, lies a human tragedy. The allegations against Tate remind us that behind every viral personality are real people who may have been exploited, manipulated, or harmed. The women who came forward were not abstractions in an online debate. They were the silent cost of a brand that commodified dominance. Ultimately, Andrew Tate's story forces society to confront an uncomfortable truth. In the digital marketplace of influence, image often outpaces integrity. His fall reveals how easily a curated life of luxury and confidence can conceal exploitation, and how the pursuit of power, when unchecked, can consume not only its followers, but also its creator. As of 2025, Andrew Tate's legal and public battles remain far from over. The criminal investigations against him continue to unfold across multiple countries, with Romanian authorities pressing ahead with their human trafficking and rape case, while British prosecutors have formally charged both Andrew and his brother Tristan with over 20 counts, including human trafficking and controlling prostitution for financial gain. Extradition discussions between the two nations remain active, underscoring the complexity of pursuing justice for crimes that transcend borders and digital spaces. In addition to criminal proceedings, Tate faces civil lawsuits from alleged victims in both the United Kingdom and the United States. These cases, filed independently of the criminal charges, seek damages for emotional, psychological, and financial harm. The testimonies emerging from these suits have added new layers to the public understanding of Tate's operations, suggesting that his business empire was not merely about financial mentorship, but also about manipulation, coercion, and control. Meanwhile, his former ventures, ranging from webcam modeling studios to online courses such as Hustlers University, are being closely scrutinized by regulators and financial authorities. Investigators are examining how money moved through his network of companies, some registered under shell entities, others operated through affiliates and subscription systems. What was once touted as a self-made entrepreneurial success story is now under suspicion as a potentially exploitative and deceptive enterprise. Public perception of Tate continues to evolve too. Where he was once celebrated in certain corners of the internet as an icon of unapologetic masculinity, many of his former admirers are beginning to distance themselves from the chaos surrounding him. His image, once synonymous with luxury, power, and defiance, has become tainted by scandal and moral contradiction. The conversation has shifted from admiration to accountability, as audiences grapple with the consequences of idolizing figures who blur the line between empowerment and exploitation. On a broader scale, Tate's case has prompted governments and social media companies to confront the darker side of influencer culture. Regulators are paying closer attention to the unchecked growth of online ecosystems, where harmful ideologies can thrive under the guise of mentorship or freedom of speech. Tech platforms, under renewed scrutiny, are reassessing their policies on algorithmic amplification and profit sharing from controversial creators. What began as a story about one man's downfall has become a turning point in how society views online influence, responsibility, and the cost of digital fame. Andrew Tate's story stands as both a unique personal saga and a broader cultural mirror. It is unique in its trajectory. A former world champion kickboxer who reinvented himself as an online messiah for millions, rising from relative obscurity to global notoriety in a matter of years. His transformation from athlete to influencer to alleged criminal reveals the extraordinary speed with which fame, power, and influence can now be manufactured in the digital age. Few have navigated, and ultimately fallen victim to, the machinery of online celebrity with such intensity. Yet his story is also emblematic, capturing the defining contradictions of modern masculinity and the social media era. Tate built his empire on a fusion of commerce and ideology, monetizing discontent, selling empowerment through dominance, and turning gender polarization into profit. His rise exposed a hunger among many young men for identity and guidance, a void filled not by empathy or integrity, but by aggression and materialism. His fall, on the other hand, underscores how that very formula, when unchecked, can collapse under the weight of its own excesses. The arc of Andrew Tate's rise and fall reminds us that influence without accountability is a dangerous experiment. The same algorithms that made him famous are the ones that allowed his most harmful messages to thrive. And the same audience that idolized him is now forced to question what it truly means to be powerful, successful, or alpha. As Tate faces the consequences of his actions, society is left to confront its own role in creating figures like him. What lessons should we take from his story? Not only for the influencers who wield immense power online, but for the platforms that amplify them, the young men who follow them, and the culture that rewards provocation over principle? In the end, Andrew Tate's downfall may not only mark the fall of one man, but also signal a reckoning for an era that has mistaken virality for virtue. And that's the wild saga of Andrew Tate, a man who punched his way from kickboxing rings to the top of the internet food chain, only to find himself caught in the same digital storm he helped create. His story is part cautionary tale, part modern circus act, proof that in the age of viral fame, confidence can be currency, but arrogance has an expiration date. From top G to top gone, Tate's empire reminds us how fast influence can turn into infamy when ego drives the wheel. Here on Underwire, we don't just watch the wave. We ride it, question it, and call it out for what it is. So if you're here for real talk, stories that matter, and a little bit of wit along the way, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Because in a world full of noise, we're here to keep the signal strong.